Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the Ted Show. You know, I love musical guests, and I have one returning and one new. This is Slud and Seth Hutchinson with Hutch Down Records. They're going to talk about making music matter and bringing control back to the artist. I love this topic. They're going to perform a song for us as well, and we're going to get to know them. If you haven't seen Seth before, go back and Google the Ted Show and Seth Hutchinson, and you'll see his amazing show. At least one show, maybe two shows you've done.
I
Seth,
think, yeah. I think we're on a third now.
We're on number 3, lucky 3.
Yeah.
We got Slud in. All right. Hey guys, how you doing today?
Hey, we're doing well. Thanks so much.
Good.
We really appreciate being on the show. Excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you on the show. So before we went live, before we take a deep dive, I said the audience loves some origin story. So Slud, let's start with you since you're a newbie to the TED Show. Tell them a little bit about you. I want to know about your name, and I'm going to give you front and center.
All righty, yeah. So my name is Brady Sluder. Last name Sluder. That's kind of where my stage name, my artist name Slud came from. It was a nickname growing up. It's kind of something that just stuck, and yeah, I kind of never looked back since. I'm 22 years old right now, currently enrolled at the University of Cincinnati. I've been making music since I was about 16 years old. And when it came time to upload the first song that I ever made, they asked me to upload my artist name. And I hadn't really given it a lot of thought, so I was kind of like, I don't know, Slud, S-L-U-D. Like everybody knows me by it. I don't have to come up with like Lil something or Lil this and just have like kind of like the cliche name. So it's kind of unique to me. Everybody that knows me, that's kind of what they call me. So I guess it kind of just stuck. But yeah, it's pronounced Slud, S-L-U-D. A lot of people say Slud. I mean, that works too. But yeah, so 22 years old and just making music independently over here with my partner, Seth James Hutchinson. And it's been a great ride.
How did you and Seth meet? Have you known each other for a long time? And how did you decide to kind of collaborate? And then we'll get to you, Seth, I promise.
Yeah. So back in 2019, I believe it was, I had a friend of mine who had a friend that works for a clothing developer, and he, kind of part of his job was to work with companies, music artists, kind of like anybody that needs style and needs somebody to pick out wardrobes and outfits and stuff. And our coordinator, Danielle Lighton, she had a connection with this kid, and he kind of knew me and knew that I was making music and stuff, trying to get something going. And he really liked my music, so he kind of threw me a bone. He was like, "Hey man, there's a record label in Cincinnati called Hutch Down Records, and they're kind of getting off the ground and getting started." He's like, "Would you like me to send your music to them?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. Like that'd be great." I didn't think too much of it. And then it turns out they liked my music. They called me in for a meeting. We sat down and kind of just went over maybe how we could help each other out. And we started slow. It was kind of just coming into the studio a day or two a week, working on some new songs, helping him write, him helping me write, us kind of getting the flow for each other, like kind of how that works. And that was like at the very start kind of Hutch Down Records. So it was really just me and Seth in the studio. He was doing it full time at the time. And then, kind of from then to here in the last 2-3 years, we've kind of evolved. I've kind of taken a full-time role. I'm the managing partner now, and we've been working together ever since. It's really just been, a great connection that came through a friend of a friend, to be honest.
I love it. See? How about you, Seth? Tell us, for those people who don't remember, all about you. Thank you, Slud, by the way.
No problem.
Yeah, man, I'm so glad to be back on the show. I loved doing it last time. I'm a lover of all things music. I've been writing music since I was super young, and I wanted to take a step from writing my own kind of personal music and stepping into the production kind of world of music. So that's what I've been doing here at Hutch Down Records recently. Doing a lot of songwriting and production of the instrumentals for our artists here, and collaborating all together on my music as well. So we have a bunch in the chamber here at Hutch Down Records, and Brady and I have been just working together relentlessly for the past couple of years that we've known each other, growing our company and growing our connection to this market.
Love it. Tell me about the collaboration part because I always find that interesting. Is it more difficult or easier for you all when you're collaborating? I love the process of it because each artist is different. So you mentioned collaboration, you all working together. What's that process like for you two?
Yeah, so I'll go first.
Yeah.
It depends a lot on who we're working with, and back in the day, kind of if you're a novice artist and you're just starting to make music, collaboration is a very easy thing. You go on YouTube, you find a beat, you're like, yo, this is sick. I wrote some lyrics, send it to whoever you're working with, and kind of they'll lay their part. You mix a song together and you put it out. And that's kind of like what we all did in the past. But the older we get, and we're trying to build a real business out of this, and we're trying to do things the right way. So collaboration becomes a little more difficult once you level up. There's a bunch of contract stuff that has to be in order. Who made the beat? Who's mixing the song? Who wrote? Everybody needs points. Everybody needs credit. As a record label, you can't just throw out song after song after song. Everything is very organized. Everything is planned. We put out everything with purpose. So sometimes there's a lot of collaboration that we have, and once the song's done, it doesn't fit quite into the schedule that we have, or it doesn't. It's not the right time to drop a song. So sometimes collaborating can be hard in that sense because you're very excited to do a song with somebody, but realistically, it's not going to come out yet, or if it does, you need to get X, Y, and Z from the paperwork standpoint, all kinds of stuff. So it depends on who you're working with and the level, I think, kind of that they're at in their music making.
Love it. Same for you, Seth?
Yeah, logistically, I think it can definitely be a nightmare. I will say, working with Brady, I'm super fortunate. We have a chemistry of working together on projects that like we can bounce off ideas one another really well, and like our creative energies just like work well with one another, and that's like resulted in us making like some really like cool songs over the past year. And but yeah, it definitely can be a nightmare. It can be really like just like confusing keeping track of who's all done what on like what certain thing, but like I'm super grateful for the people that like we have here to work with.
I would imagine it's. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Slud.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just one more thing. Yeah, so like we do collaboration, obviously, with outside artists. But if you're talking about internal collaboration between us two, like night and day, man. We come in, we get stuff done. He helps me, I help him, and that is a very easy process. It's not. That's the easy part of the collaboration is the in-house with the guys who are actually in the studio and we're all making stuff together. It's just kind of when we outsource stuff.
Yeah.
I think that when it's your baby, right? This is your songs are your babies. You're birthing out this idea. So I'm fascinated by how that all works because obviously, if somebody's got an idea, then you play on the idea. So I think I agree, and you can see that there's a lot of working together between the two of you because I think that's what you would have to have in order to be successful at collaborating. Talk about before we get into giving the control back or getting the control back for artists, because I'm fascinated by that part of the title, which I think Danielle and you all came up with. Talk a little bit about the production side, like owning a record. It's one thing to be an artist. It's one thing to be a songwriter. And then it's a whole nother thing to be a record producer and own a company. Talk about what that's like in this day and age. Because, back in my day, the 78 RPM, the phonographs, that kind of thing. You signed a record deal, and if you got promoted properly, you probably made some money, not as much as you thought, but unless you were a superstar. It's different in this streaming world, I think.
Oh, it's so much different. You have to have, it's a job of many hats. You have to be applicable in so many different ways. We can't just be artists nowadays. You have to be artists, social media influencers. You have to be producers, studio hands. You have to be good with equipment. Like, it's just so much that you have to know. Even photo, video, we've been dipping our toes into that here at Hutch Down Records as well. And then here in our podcast room that we've just started up, starting to get some live episodes and recorded too. So just really like spreading, like as far as being a multimedia company, expanding upon like the kinds of services that you can offer to people, like really makes you more like marketable and also just like a useful tool for people and the art that they need to create.
Same for you, Slud?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything he said was right. It gets tricky because obviously, like he said, when you're running a record label, it's not just, hey, come to the studio, make some songs, and put them out. There's a lot that goes on kind of behind the scenes, communicating with people, trying to dispute contracts or come up with agreements between people, and like especially like transportation and travel. If we're responsible for artists, we're bringing them into Cincinnati, or we're going out somewhere to link up with people. There's a lot of like small things that people don't really see. So it's really just this one big working, flowing thing there's a bunch of parts to it, and we try to make sure that everybody kind of has a key role so we can get all that done. Because we're not a super large team right now. We're still kind of getting off the ground, but we brought in some great artists in the last year, and it's just really trying to put all those pieces together. But I mean, it's a great experience.
Tell me, before I ask you again, one last question before we get to bringing the control back, because I want to ask you what your thoughts are. How do you handle someone who comes in, an artist that doesn't necessarily have the talent that you want or isn't a good fit? Do you see that a lot? And I'm only sharing that because I see that a lot when they come on the show here. It's a fascinating. I think I'm the guinea pig for a lot of first-time performers and a lot of first-time artists. I get a lot of stuff, PR people from LA, New York, and Nashville. And so sometimes I'm their very first show. And I think everybody, if you have a gift and a passion, go for it. I would never cut anybody down for that. But there definitely are some people who have more of a gift than certain people. So how do you all handle that as producers?
100%. I think we see that a lot. It's kind of just, you want to be honest in this game, and you want to put truth into things, because if you're really just working for somebody just to make them happy or just to satisfy them, and in the back end, you're wasting their time, you're wasting their dollar, and you're wasting their time. So it's like, if something's not clicking, you just need to find a respectful way to be like, hey man, maybe we move on to another idea, or we come back a different day. Let's let this song sit. Even if in the back of your head you're like, okay, this is going nowhere, maybe not as talented as we thought. But we appreciate everybody, just even having a love for music or having the courage to even step into a studio and record. So, it can be challenging, but you just got to be respectful about everything that you do, and understand that maybe they're not applying themselves in the right way, and maybe there's another genre or another sound that they might sound better in. So it's almost kind of like a coaching thing.
That's very kind, and I love that answer, because honestly, some people have probably been told their whole lives that they're an amazing performer, singer, songwriter, and then they get in the room. They've gotten in my room before, and I'm like, whoa, wow, all right. So giving heart and being kind and generous and understanding is very good.
Yeah.
So before I have you all perform, which I'm excited for, talk a little bit about why. What is it about bringing control back to the artist that's important? Because honestly, I hear that a lot. And because it's a different world, the streaming world, we have all the people on strike. Some just got off it, some are still on it. There's a lot of streaming issues and things like that. Why is it important to bring the control back to the artist?
Yeah, it's massively important, and that's what we're huge here at Hutch Down. We've started this podcast as a podcast room as a way to bring voice to individual artists, which is such a saturated industry. But just giving a voice to people to be able to shine through it. And at Hutch Down, we're all about like pushing independent artists to using some of the talents that we have here in order to showcase what they have. So that looks like creating visual and audio content for them, and then just developing, like, from an artist standpoint, like what they want their kind of artist brand and vision to look like. And that can change like very rapidly, I feel like. But yeah, that's kind of like, as far as like empowering the artists and like bringing about like, the best side of them, like that's what we'd love to do here. So
I love that.
Kind of talking about the past, like how times change and you need to be able to adapt, and the music industry is ever changing. And it's like when you want to give control back to the artist. We are in a world today where a bunch of young kids, super talented artists, are being offered a record deal, and they'll get X amount of money, and of course they're going to take it. They don't read the fine print. They don't understand that if you don't make that money back plus some over X amount of years, you actually owe that money back to the label. these labels make a lot of money off of artists in debt, and a lot of people don't realize that because they get, $1 million when they're 19 years old. It's like who's going to say no to that? So one, I think it's just kind of a common theme in the music industry that these giant labels are kind of going out the door. With the rise of streaming and social media, that's kind of been a thing in the last couple of years. So like here at Hutch Down, I feel like we understand that you can have a successful career without giving up control to a major label. So we want to be here to guide you and to push you. And like yes, obviously own a percentage of your music, but nothing that's going to make it unfair. A very fair amount for you, for us. We want to pay you to develop. We want to cover music videos, travel. We want to get you on stage and performing. All while taking a small fraction from you, because we really believe that this industry is about the artist. It's not about the label. The days of the labels making 10x on the dollar of the artist are just over, and we're trying to change that slowly.
Well, I love that you guys are cognizant of that and proponents of protecting the artist, because a lot of creatives, they just want to be creative and they don't think about the business side of it until it's too late. A lot of times.
That's what we're for. Like, we want you to come in and just be completely concentrated on your work and your craft, and let us handle all the back end of the business.
That's what's important. I love it. I think being a creative and having people you can trust, like you all, is a beautiful thing. All right, I'm going to take myself off. My audience loves performance, so we are going to. I think you're still there. Are you frozen? Maybe. There you are. Good. So I'm going to take myself off, and then you guys are going to perform. Talk to me a little bit about what you're going to perform, and then go for it. I'm excited to have you guys show us a little of your creative side.